After 9 years of Justin Trudeau, the numbers show that Canadians are struggling.
Food Banks Canada warns that this country is at a turning point as poverty and food insecurity worsen in every corner of the country.
So if you look at GDP per capita, that's falling. So on a per capita basis, we're definitely in a recession.
This is just part of the line outside a Toronto food bank today, where thousands of clients will shop this week, a number that keeps going up.
A wide range of economic indicators all point to the same conclusion. Canadians are worse off and poorer under this NDP Liberal government. The Liberals' budget 2024 is another debt-increasing disappointment. Trudeau continues to pour fuel on the inflationary fire, with $60 billion in new inflationary spending in their most recent budget. Canada's debt servicing costs will be $54 billion this year, and this will rise even more. Just imagine what the government could do with these funds. As it stands, these debt servicing costs are more than what the government sends to the provinces for health care. The budget also shows that the government raised $51 billion in revenue from GST last year. This means that when a person pays the government GST on anything, it will not be used to pay for roads, health care, or our armed forces, or any other priorities. Instead, it will be used solely to pay the interest on the government debt. My Conservative colleagues and I have demanded that Trudeau provide a path to balance so that Canada can bring down inflation and interest rates sooner. My Conservative colleagues and I will vote against this Liberal government's 9th deficit and debt budget. Canadian productivity has reached dire levels under this Liberal government. A country's productivity means quality of life for its people. After 9 years of this NDP Liberal government, Canada's productivity and Canadians' quality of life are down. The OECD expects Canada to have the slowest growth in per capita GDP among its 38 member countries over the next 40 years. Per capita GDP in Canada has now significantly fallen to just 73% of US levels.
6 quarters in a row where the Canadian GDP per capita is down. And CapEx, capital investment outside of houses, is also down per capita for the last few years. That's not good.
Data drawn from Statistics Canada and the International Monetary Fund show that Canada's GDP per capita fell by 3% within the last 4 years. This indicates Canada's economy is not flourishing, and that the standard of living of Canadians has decreased. The numbers are jarring, given that the GDP per capita of the United States increased by 7% within the last 4 years. A low GDP per capita is associated with lower income, greater poverty, and lower quality of life. Canada's drastic drop in GDP per capita shows again how Justin Trudeau is not worth the cost of his economic vandalism. One of the most upsetting indicators recently released have been those that measure poverty. Food Banks Canada's Poverty in Canada report, released this May, shows poverty has skyrocketed under Trudeau. According to the most recent numbers, the official poverty rate has climbed to 9.8%. This is a significant increase from 6.4% in 2020. Food Banks Canada purports the number of Canadians living in poverty is actually much higher than these numbers, and they state that 25% of Canadians are living in a poverty level standard according to their measures. Even more, this number rises to 30% for Canadians aged 18 to 30 and to 44.5% for single-parent households. Because of these numbers, Food Banks Canada dropped Canada's score for poverty measures to an F in their most recent annual review. These findings have also been affirmed by other organizations. Research from the Salvation Army showed that nearly 75% of Canadians faced challenges managing limited financial resources. Their report also stated that 25% of Canadians continue to be extremely concerned about having enough income to cover their basic needs. In addition to these instances of increased poverty, unemployment is also high and is predicted to continue to rise. These indicators regarding poverty are troubling and shows how the economic outlook for many Canadians has deteriorated rapidly. Justin Trudeau has spent the last 9 years doing damage to Canada's economy. People across Canada are feeling the very effects of his economic vandalism. Common sense Conservatives will reverse his damaging decisions, cut his costly taxes, and bring home an economic plan so that Canadians can afford to heat, feed, and house themselves.